what does your bill do?
Sure, it has three basic tenets. One, it does remove teacher tenure, and I don't think that that's anything that good or great or even most average teachers have to be worried about. This is something that's going to maybe be offensive to some of those teachers that are low performing. They're trying to skate by and go unnoticed. I think this may put them on notice. The second tenet is it changes evaluations for teachers and administrators. For teachers, 50% of their evaluation is now going to be based upon student growth, which is essentially where was the student at the beginning of the year and where was the student, where is the student at the end of the year? What essentially has the teacher done with the students that he or she received and had the opportunity to spend a year or a semester or what have you with. The other side of that, though, is changing administrator evaluation so that 50% of their evaluation is based upon teacher performance. And I think that's going to incentivize administrators to identify those teachers who are, maybe young, inexperienced, but have great potential, to work with those teachers and help them to reach their potential sooner, to keep those teachers around and really reward those teachers and try to retain those teachers who are exceptional. And for those teachers who just don't have the skill set to be in the classroom, I think it's going to encourage the administrators to help them maybe find another profession, and that's a good thing for students. The last pillar or tenet of the legislation is that instead of paying teachers based upon, how many years experience they have and what degrees they have, we're going to pay teachers. We're going to compensate teachers according to their worth. We're going to pay them according to their performance in the classroom.
So, I, I guess what you're really looking for is something that can be quantified. So
Correct.
I guess you're literally looking at the test scores as that quantification, because I mean that's something that's every when these ideas have come up, that's something that's always been talked about is how do you quantify, how do you make it fair for everybody.
Sure. And when I started teaching in 2002, people were kind of beginning to talk about student growth and wouldn't it be great if we could get the data? Wouldn't it be great if we could, track this, because it's something that is subjective. It's something that's relatively concrete. And I think, sometimes that maybe they were talking about it because it wasn't here yet. Now that it's here, there are some people that don't want to have the conversation. Now, to their credit, I think a lot of good teachers, good administrators, they're open to this idea. They're not sure that the methodology is here yet. They have some concerns, and really there aren't a whole lot of places that are basing this much on student growth. We're seeing it in Colorado. We're seeing it in pockets, but we're not seeing it, and we don't have the data because it's something that's new. We don't know how effective it is because it is something that's new.
The testing scores, would it be on MAP tests or would it be on whatever else, the other testing that DESE has now, or what?
It's not defined in the bill, and I did that intentionally. I want to work through that with educators. I want to work through that with my committee members. I think that the current DESE tests probably would not do exactly what I'm looking to do here. It's going to be pre and post testing. I don't think there's a way around that, just to show where the student was at the beginning and where they are at the end. And I don't think that DESE has anything in place right now that would, annual testing that would meet that goal.
Mm-hmm. There was some criticism that I saw that said that teachers might actually kind of compete for the higher, the higher learning kids. May actually try to get the good kids in their class.
Sure.
How do you answer that?
I'd say as a teacher, I'd be trying to grab a pretty good mix, because when you're working with growth, just as an example, if I'm a fifth grade reading teacher and I receive a student who's reading on a second grade level, clearly that's not a student that's going to be identified as a great student. But I have an opportunity to help that student along and really show growth. If I can get that student to a fourth grade reading level by the end of the year, that's 2 years growth over the course of one academic year. That's a very, very positive thing. And that sort of growth from a teacher would help them, on their evaluations and ultimately their compensation. So I think that, if teachers want to fight over the gifted kids or the kids at the top of the class, I think that may be detrimental to them, but that's their prerogative.
Teachers groups gotta just love this. What are you looking at as far as people that are going to be fighting this?
People are fighting this, but a lot of people come to this and they're upset and they're frustrated. But after we talk for a period of time, they're like, okay, I at least see that you've thought this through. And they're coming with their ideas, they're coming with their thoughts, they're helping me to make my bill better, and I really appreciate the folks kind of coming to the table and bringing their ideas. For far too long in education and in a lot of things in government, we criticize and we said that's a bad idea, that's an awful idea. I think this gives us a real opportunity to put Missouri out on the forefront of something, to try something different, and to put some minds around the table and try to come up with something that's fair and productive.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Colorado. Do they have a system? What are they doing there?
They do very similar things to what this legislation does, as far as 50% of their teacher evaluation based on student growth, 50% administrators tied to teacher performance. Their system is getting up and running. They're not all the way there yet, so we don't have the data. They do a merit pay system, but it's a little bit different. Essentially, you as a teacher have a contract with your local school district, your local school board, and then essentially you have an additional contract with the state if you meet certain requirements or whatever, and you can earn incentive pay through your contract with the state, meeting some obligations.
Does Colorado still have tenure, or do they?
In Colorado, you can gain and lose tenure, so it kind of ebbs and flows
see.
based upon your performance.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.